Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the March 2021 educational presentation for the Kent branch. I'm Cindy Robichaud, and I'm the current chair of the branch. We're glad that you joined us tonight for this presentation, which will be recorded, and we will upload it to our YouTube channel just as quickly as we can, so you don't have to feverishly be writing down the notes that Colleen's going to tell you or where to go on the website. So you can check out our YouTube channel, and the recording will be there for you. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we just want to tell you a little bit about ourselves. The Ontario Ancestors has been preserving and recording family history for over 50 years. There are more than 30 branches all across Ontario, and they're the largest genealogical society in Canada. So that is saying quite a bit. At the bottom there, you can see their website, so feel free to browse it. There's a lot of good resources there. So I mentioned the 30 branches. So we are the Kent branch, and we are housed in Chatham, Kent, formerly Kent County. We have a very large group of fine folks that are always trying to help everybody. We offer research and general information for family history, mentoring and assistance. We have education classes. We do DNA study groups. We have monthly presentations such as this with a variety of topics and presentations and speakers. And we have a fantastic resource library, which is housed inside the Chatham Kent Public Library. So it's on the second floor, but unfortunately, due to COVID, it's been closed since last March, but we're patiently waiting to reopen and to welcome you back. So these are just a few pictures of some of the resources that we have in our library. We have a great website, which Colleen's going to tour us around a little bit later on. We have a ever-growing Facebook group that is well worth joining if you're a Facebook user. There is often people sharing photos and websites. If you have a question, there's a lot of people there that are very knowledgeable, and quite often your questions can be answered. If you want to get a hold of us, our email is there at the bottom of the screen as well. So I'd like to share some good news. Everyone knows that volunteers are the backbone of any organization, and we are pleased to share with you the names of some of our branch volunteers who were honored with the Ontario Volunteer Service Award. So Carl Haskell and Diane Haskell and Colleen Neve were honored for 5 years of volunteerism. And then for 10 years, we have Fran Barco. And for 40 years, we have Diane French and Mary Lou Little. These two ladies were some of the founding members of our branch. So we congratulate all of them, and thank you very much for all the hard work that you constantly are doing for us. Without the volunteers, we wouldn't exist. So March is usually our annual general meeting, but this year we just wanted to ask you to consider what you can do for genealogy. The gang that we have helping us now are willing to stay in their positions. We work as a team, so everyone that's currently on the team will stay with us for another year. But we thought we'd reach out to people and ask them if they could offer their services, a few hours a month of indexing. If you have any social media skills, we have a Facebook team that could use your help. If you like to design, photos and do layouts, we have a monthly branch update that we could use help with that as well. And then someone who can help maybe organize these presentations, get the speakers, and get things set up with the Zoom presentations. Again, we have teams for all of these. So if you think you can spare a couple hours or you have some interest in giving back to the genealogical community, we would gladly like you to reach out to us and we can talk more about it. The one nice thing about COVID is all these things can be done from home right now. So as I say, definitely reach out and we can find you a job. We also want to remind people to save the date for the upcoming Ontario Ancestors Conference, June the 4th to the 6th. Registration will open on April the 1st, And this year, the virtual conference will be extra special. Last year, we switched over basically midstream of planning for the conference, and we went virtual, and it was a huge success. So jumping off the success from last year, the conference committee will be offering attendees 2 different streams. So very much like if you used to attend conference in the past, you would usually pick your choice of what you wanted to go to for a session. This time there will be 2 streams. So for each session, you'll have a choice of 2 different presentations that you can attend. So that's something a little extra special and kind of like what it was before. So it's well worth putting it on your calendar to save the date. And as I say, registration and the website will be up and ready to go on April the 1st. As I mentioned, we have monthly presentations such as this. So we have our schedule pretty much set up for 2021. So next month for April the 9th, Family History of Thomas Young. So Brian Young is the great grandson of Thomas Young, and he's done some extensive research on his Young family who ended up in Kent County. A part of the line of it did anyways. And then they moved on to Saskatchewan. So I've asked Brian to join us, and he's graciously agreed to do that from Saskatchewan. And he'll tell us a little bit about the Young family. And then in May, Life Transitions has a video series, which last year, I think during COVID, again, one of the other probably positive things that's come out of COVID, James Mcgill, himself and a couple other of his, I guess his workers or his, associates, they started a video series where they would go out into the community and video with a drone and talk a little bit about the different cemeteries throughout Chatham, Kent. So he put this video series together and it was well received. It's on our Facebook group, and it was a nice change for all of us that were stuck at home last year. So we've asked James to, drop by and tell us a little bit about this whole video series, what he did, how he, came up with the idea, and just share about what he's found in the local cemeteries. So that's the next two months. So for this month, we have Colleen, who is our tech wizard, or guru, we call her. And she's going to take us through our website because there's some really great things on there. And some of them are, you may not know they're there or where to find them. So that was the purpose of tonight's presentation for anybody who's new as a member to our branch. It's a nice way to introduce you. And then those who maybe are not so new, it's a refresher or a reminder of, what's on our website. So Colleen, I will stop sharing my screen and I'll let you take over.
Great. Thank you, Cindy. In terms of questions, should we have them put them in the chat to you?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then if you think it's appropriate, you can just interrupt.
Okay.
Rather than wait to the end.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. Can everyone see? Somebody tell me they can see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for sharing your Friday evening with us. Feels like it's been a long haul living with COVID, but I don't mind talking about a website on a Friday night. So just all I intend to do here is to highlight some of the things on the website, where they are. There's nothing stopping you from going to our website, which I'll start first of all, is kent.ogs.on.ca. And feel free to look around. There's some things I won't spend too much time on, and you might want to circle back and have a look yourself. And a couple of years ago, we started on a digitization strategy, and it was primarily to protect our library resources in the event there was water damage or fire. And who knew that we were going to actually turn around and instead of a physical issue, we actually needed to become a virtual branch. And so the digitization efforts that we undertook really helped position us to be able to flip over and work virtually. So while we can't see you at our library and we don't get to see you at our monthly meetings, we can still interact virtually. And just like Cindy mentioned, there are some wins that we are getting out of this virtual world. Some of our website visitors are coming from outside of Ontario. We've had visitors from Australia, from the United Kingdom, saw one from the Netherlands. So the virtual world, while it's limiting in some ways, it's also opened up the world to others. So I'm going to start with the home page. This is the landing page when you come to our website. And there's quite a bit of information here. Let's see if I can drag me someplace else that I want to talk about. First of all, there is the menus here. And also up in the top right corner, you can quickly get to our social media pages. So there's our Facebook page. We do have a YouTube channel where all of our meetings are recorded and stored there, and they're available publicly. And if you want to send us an email and ask us a quick question, you can just click on the little envelope and send us a quick note. We usually have a number of featured resources for the month. So some of them we try to highlight this month because we're going into March and St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner. There's a resource here, which is a family history for a family that actually has ties into Kent County. And the author was very generous to donate that to us. And so we will be putting that family history into our members only area, but it's also here available for the month for anyone to look at. You'll also see the Searching the Master Name Index, and I will cover that a little bit later. We have had some wonderful volunteers who have been indexing our resources, and whenever they do that, we drop that into our Master Name Index, and that allows you to search to see if your ancestor is in any of our resources. And of course, you see the event that we're having tonight, and then a new feature, which I will demonstrate tonight, is the Mcgill University County Atlas. And so these will change from time to time. I probably will pull this off and put the next event up there, but you should check back every once in a while and just see if anything's changed there. And then down at the bottom of the page, you can see the sad news here that our family history library is closed. It's been closed for over a year. We're sad because we miss seeing people, but really do encourage you to get onto our Facebook group because it's quite active. There are lots of things going on there and the opportunity to interact with others. And then the other things that you see down the left and the right hand, you'll see those frequently on a lot of pages, and they're just an easy way to get to a few things. The events that we have coming up that Cindy talked about, they're here. So if you're ever wondering when is the next meeting, you can check that right off the page. And if you want to get on our mailing list, we do send out updates monthly. You can put your email in there and subscribe, and we'll add you to our mailing list. Okay. All right, let's start first with some history. And we'll start with about our branch. So as Cindy indicated, we have been around for a little while, over 40 years to be exact. The Kent branch was founded in 1978. And so there's a nice write-up here about the history of the branch and what we've done, some pictures of the library. So that's something that you can read on your own and learn a little bit more about the branch. We also have our objectives shared here. So we try to make sure that everything that we do is in alignment with our objectives. And really what we're focusing on right now is preserving anything that we've got, because in a lot of cases, it may be the only copy that there is available. And so real focus on making sure that we've got them protected and digitized. A little bit about the history. So this goes way back into when the branch first started. And I know that Cindy had called out a couple of names there, Mary Lou and Diane, as founding members. And so we started out very small and basically grew over time. And you know, we've got a lovely group of volunteers and members. A little bit about our library, if it was open, where we're located. So we're up on the second floor at the library. Normally we're open afternoons. Just keep an eye out here. We're really at the mercy of the Chatham-Kent Public Library. When they tell us that we can open back up, then we will start considering a plan to do that. And I do want to highlight our branch newsletter. So we have over 40 years of branch newsletters now. Since 2020, we've switched to a monthly email, and we are actually looking at getting those organized and put on the website. But the branch has been publishing a newsletter for over 40 years, and just some of the pictures here are covers from over the years, starting out back in the 70s, and this one was from 2019. There's so much rich information in there that around, local families, genealogical research. And the great thing is it's all indexed in our master index. So you can search in the master index, and if you see a name, if it's referenced RBT index, it means that it's in one of our newsletters. And if you're a member, they're freely available in members only. If you're not, you can make a request to the branch, and we can do a lookup for you. Okay, so this is really just about the branch itself, and something that you might just want to check in, familiarize yourself. The next area over is meetings and events. So if you're wondering what the next presentation is, we try and keep all of the upcoming events here, and you can see that the registration link for Zoom is included. So, when you get out of this meeting, you could go and register yourself for the next 3 meetings very easily and add them to your calendar. We also, because the events are all recorded, you can go back and look at any of our past events. They are listed here, and they go back fair ways, I think, to 2014. You can also just go directly to our YouTube channel, and they're all there as well. If I were to click over here and go to our YouTube channel, you'll see all of the videos there as well. So you can go back and look at any one of them, some great topics that we've got covered there. And then as well, if there were resources associated with the meeting, we've kept them here. Sometimes speakers give us handouts that we are allowed to share, and so we've just included them there for your reference. All right, so then the area that I probably want to spend most of the time on is under the research, because that's primarily why you want to come to our website, is to try and find information. You're likely researching your family. So I'm going to start, first of all, with the Master Name Index. Master Name Index is a work in progress. So as our volunteers are indexing family histories and other resources, we add names to this master index. We're almost at 150,000. I couldn't say it because I think we're 50 short, but that will get remediated shortly. And if you find your ancestor's name in here and you want to go to the resource, the name is over here. And so these are all family histories. For example, Chatham Daily News obituaries refers to a collection of obituaries that we have. If you're not sure what the resource is, they are all detailed out through this link. Okay, so each of those resource types have been fully detailed as to what they are, whether they're available for purchase, or whether you would need to come to the library to view them, or if they're available in members only. Okay, so if you're not sure what that resource name means, you would want to come here and check that. In terms of searching, it's pretty straightforward. You can search on the first name or the last name. I'm going to, let's see what we'll pick here. Let's pick Arnold. There's been a lot of things in social media about the Arnold family these days. Okay, so you can see there's quite a few entries for Arnold, many, many pages. So you can further narrow it down by a first name. Let's see if there's a, I don't know if there's a Daniel Arnold or not. Nope. We'll just stick with the Arnold. Okay. So what you see is the name, the page number, a date that may help you to further identify if that is your ancestor. And we try and include here if there's a birth date or a date of death, or the date that they're in the resource. So for example, this would be the date of the newsletter, and then the resource. Okay. Next up, we do have some publicly available indexes and resources that you may want to access. And so I'm just going to run through these real quick. And again, please feel free to come back to the website on your own and check them out. These are ones that you may not be aware that they exist, or things that I personally have found quite useful. And so I'll just run through them. The first one, Chatham-Kent with Wikipedia. I struggle, I don't know if you do, but I struggle sometimes to figure out what communities were in what townships, because those townships don't exist anymore. We're a municipality. I know certain areas because that's where my family is from, but there are other areas where I'm really not sure which township there are. So there is a Wikipedia entry for Chatham-Kent, and lots of good information about Chatham-Kent itself. But what I found was the most useful is there's a list of communities and what former township they were in. And I use this quite frequently when I'm trying to, well, in my case, I'm trying to organize materials in members only under township. And if I see something, for botany, for example, I come here to figure out which township to put it under. But that's a cool piece of information, especially if you didn't live here. If you're searching for your ancestors and you've never lived here, you don't really know what community the townships are located in what townships. Another great index, and this is an index that we used to actually sell as a publication. We now offer it free because it is an index of all the names transcribed in cemeteries of Kent County. And so back, this would have been in the 80s, a group of volunteers from the branch actually went out and walked all the cemeteries and transcribed all of the headstones. And so we have the cemetery transcriptions and we do sell those as publications. But we use this resource frequently to try and figure out which cemetery your family might be in. Now it is just in a PDF document, but you can download it and you can just do a search, like a control F, and search for your ancestor. And what you'll see at the beginning is that all of the cemeteries have been given a reference number. And then this is the number that you'll see next to your ancestor's name. So that when you go and look for someone, let me just get past the cemeteries. This is what the index looks like. You'll see the little code next to the name. You go back up to the top and you can reference that as to which cemetery that is. If you are a member, all of the cemetery transcripts are in members only. If you're not, they're all available for purchase for very, very small amounts. Some of them are just a couple of dollars, and they include the full transcript. Whatever was written on the headstone is what's in the transcript. Okay, so that's another great one, just to figure out whether your ancestor was actually buried in this area. We'll go back. Oh, I guess I can go back this way. Another great resource, which Cindy and I were made aware of, is
Pauline, before you jump forward, KLG was asking about the index there. So she says, when you find a name, how do you find the resource, which you mentioned that they could purchase? And then the second step, so write down the reference, she's questioning. So yes, Kay, if you can purchase it right from our e-stores Colleen mentioned, or you can send us an email and we will look into it for you. Yeah. And as a member of the branch, you have access to all of the cemetery transcriptions in members only. So hopefully,
yeah, and I'll show you that when I get into members only. I'll show you where they are.
Thanks.
Yeah, so just real quick, I'll just go back through here for a quick second and maybe do a a short demonstration. So let's just take a name I can pronounce, Robert Adam. And so you see 281-4 is where Robert Adam is. So if we go back up to the cemeteries, and cemeteries are both in alphabetical order and numeric order. And so I want to find the 281-4. 281-4 is the Stewart Cemetery that's in Tilbury East. And so our cemetery transcripts are stored by Township and then the name of the cemetery. So you would be looking for the Stewart Cemetery in Tilbury East Township. Okay. All right, let's go back to the next publicly available resource. So the Family Search Wiki. Family Search has created a wiki for as many locations as they can possibly find in the world. And they've done a great job in Ontario. So under Family Tree, where you'd be searching, I of course have a link that takes you directly there, but under search, there is, I think the Research Wiki is where you would go if you wanted to search for other townships. But I've got a link here that takes you directly to the Kent County page. And the great thing is it's all about genealogical records for Kent County. So there are talks about the birth, marriage, death, where you would find them. And Family Search is not picky. They will definitely share if it's on other sites. Where to find more recent, like ones that you can't, the non-historical ones. Census records, where they can be found. Church records. Cemetery records. They do point out OGS, so we've got some links in here back to the OGS. Just a ton of information about this particular county. And you can see that you can actually, down at the bottom there, links to some of the other counties there. The great thing for us is we can actually update this. So I did actually put in a request. You can put in a request to be an editor, and I will be updating this wiki with some of the links to our webpage. But just a great resource if you're just not sure what's available for your area and where to find it. The next one, this one's pretty exciting. So the McGill University County Atlas. So I think everyone's aware of the historical atlases that were done for most of the counties in Ontario, in the late 1800s. We probably have copies of them in our library. Most geological libraries have them. McGill University actually went through and indexed and digitally reproduced those atlases. And so the Ontario Geological Society, we reached out and we were able to get all of the records for Ontario, and they've been set up so that each branch has access to their records. Now, we don't actually have the information itself. It goes back to McGill University when you find it, but we just have the index. And so you can search on, whoever you want to search for. I'm going to use Arnold because I guarantee you there has to be an Arnold in here somewhere. And you can see that there are 3 of them. And if I click on more information, it's actually taking you out to the university, and you'll see that there's an entry for L.H. Arnold, where this individual lived, their birth, death. You can see lot 1, concession 1, lot 5, the size of the lot. And if they were on a map, you can actually click locate on map, and it will bring up a little inset of their property that was on the map of Kent County. So again, if you're looking for an ancestor that was in Kent County at that time, another great resource that you can refer to. There are, for Kent County, over 1,400 entries. So encourage you to to look into that and see if you can find some more information. All right, the next one is Tony. That's the Ontario Name Index, and that's part of the Ontario Genealogical Society. It has been growing every year. I think we're up to 12 million, over 12 million records now. And it will cover all of the Ontario Genealogical Society branches, as well as resources that you find at Canadian Headstones, as well as resources found through the Society. So the Society has a number of donated family histories that they store at the Society office, and they're indexed in here as well. Again, just search. I'm going to put in my ancestor, Alexander Longmore, because I'm still trying to find him. Well, I know where he is. I'm trying to find where he came from Ireland, but we'll use him as a search because I know there are records in there for him. Give it a minute to search. All right, and so 2 records. They both appear to be cemetery transcripts. Again, if you click on the details, I might do this one. This one's actually Canadian Headstone. So it's actually the headstone that's on the Canadian Headstones website, which is also managed by the Ontario Genealogical Society. So again, 12 million records of all Ontario individuals that you can search on. Another great resource, this is something that came about just earlier this year. So the Ontario Township papers, and I know at our library, we have them on microfilm in our library, wealth of information, all of the land type information. Sometimes there are wills in there because back then people may have stored their wills at the land office. And so those township papers are now available freely at Family Search. The caveat is they have not been indexed or transcribed. So what you are looking at is microfilm images, but they are free. Family Search is free. You just got to set yourself up an account. They are stored really in 2 lots, alphabetical by township. So we'll just go through and find a township in Kent County and show you how to access it. There we go. Here's Camden. Interesting. Camden East. Looks like it's split up into 2. Well, we'll just pick one. It's intended to be a demonstration. And you'll see that there's a camera, picture of a camera over here. If you click on the camera, it will bring up the microfilm image. And then you can, like I said, they're not indexed. You'll have to page through, but they are by lot and concession. So if you know where your ancestor was located, you can start to estimate where you should start on the microfilm. I can go to full screen, go a little bit smaller. All right, so again, they're images, but if you want to get to the township papers, that's the best and free way to do it. And then one other resource that actually picked this up out of eWeekly. So eWeekly comes out every Saturday from the OGS, and there a lot of times there's a summary at the bottom of the different bloggers, and someone had mentioned some new records at the Ontario Archives, and they had also mentioned about the Toronto Immigrant Office, that this is an actual searchable database on the Ontario Archives, which is new. Usually Ontario Archives, you get as far as knowing what microfilm reel you need to find. and you'll end up having to visit them. This is an actual database that you can search. And so it's specific to the Toronto Immigrant Office and between some very specific dates, but you can actually search it right online. And I'm pick a name here. Let's try Taylor. See if there's any Taylors. Lots of Taylors. Okay, so specific to passengers, and it talks about where they, obviously nationality, the ship they were on, the year that they immigrated. And I think you can even drill it. Yes, you can drill it down even further. There's some great information here. You know, how many were in their party, breakdown by adults and children, where they landed, where they were destined to go. So again, free. It's just on the Ontario Archives website, and just trying to make it easy for you by putting a link on our page. We also have a number of digitized resources that when they were donated for public use. And so we've also listed them here. Again, check back because we may add to this if we have another donated resource that comes in. And some we've just chosen to make them public. So, you know, I'll just maybe pick one of them, the Branch 28 Legion history. This was something that was donated to us. It has, it might just take a minute to come up. It has the history of the branch with all the past presidents' names and the dates. So, you know, if your ancestor was part of the Legion, you might find them in here with a picture. Right, and that's all publicly available. All right, so those are the public resources. They're available to anyone. Just a few other ones that we want to cover. So our marketplace, we have moved to digital publications. The easiest and quickest way for you to get to our publications is to go to our marketplace. They're broken down into different categories. So I'll go to cemeteries and show you those ones. Broken down by township. Again, I'm going to go to Tilbury East and find Stewart Cemetery. There's Stewart Cemetery right there. So as soon as you select it, add it to the cart, you can pay by credit card and you're able to download it immediately. We try to encourage that because it's the quickest and easiest, but we will still, if there's no other way to do it and you really are not wanting to do an online purchase, we will still do publications through email, and rarely, but we will do paper if need be. Another resource that we're pretty excited about is the Canadian Achievement Book. So this is a great research resource specific to Kent County, specific to a lot of it is Chatham, but it does cover Kent County. And this was a collaboration that the branch did, and we've been selling it. It's our second year now that we're selling it, and new this year, it's available in digital format. So up until January of this year, you could just purchase it in paper copy, but now you can also purchase it in digital format. It's available in the marketplace. Okay, and this was actually, we republished the unpublished writings of Reverend Hugh Cowan. So there's a copy, the original's in the Mcgill room in the Chatham-Kent Public Library. It's very fragile. In some cases, it's not great quality. So we republished it and sourced new pictures and just a wealth of information. I think the Romantic Kent, a lot of the research that was done by Victor Lorison actually came out of these writings from Reverend Hugh Cowan. Okay. Our library catalog, let's talk a little bit about that. So we do have an online library catalog. It is available through Vita Collections, and a lot of the libraries use Vita to do a public library catalog. So we've got our specific Kent Branch Library collection there. And if anybody's ever been in Vita, you would know what this looks like. We've got 1,400 resources in there. What's not in there is our family histories. We haven't got those loaded yet, but we will be getting them loaded. And you can search. So you can search within the results. I'm just going to put, let's see if we can find anything. Right. So there's a couple of sources that we have. So these all reference the books that are on the shelves in our library. And even though our library is closed, some of the resources are digital, so we can do lookups for you. But if they're not yet digitized, we may just ask you to wait until we can get back in the library, which will be a while yet, I think. All right. Speaking of family histories, we don't have our family histories in the catalog right now, but a couple of volunteers basically walked the shelves and took down as many names as we could. And this is constantly changing. We get donations of family histories all the time. And so these are just some of the names that you would find in the family histories that are on the shelf. Our library catalog is going to be changing in the next little while, the next 2 or 3 months. So when that does happen, we will load the family histories into it at that time. But this is just a quick way to check and see whether we might have your family name in our catalog. Something new. So as a family day, we had to do normally we would try and do a family day activity in the library. Obviously that wasn't going to happen. So this past family day, we did a virtual event. And I think there were a number of activities we did on our Facebook page, but we also sourced a number of children's activities. And, you know, it's good for beyond family days. So we've included them in our research resources, and those are free to download and use for anyone. Something also to point out, the OGS does have lesson plans for family history. So even if you're homeschooling or looking for something for a children's group, there are a number of pre-planned activities from grade 1 through grade 12, and as well as some other additional resources that are available for you. This is our publications page. Again, not much here other than, again, we're really encouraging you to go to Marketplace to make your digital purchase. But if you want to get a printed copy, we do have a price list there that you can refer to, and we would just want you to email us. And obviously, there would be some additional charges for printing and postage. And I want to talk a little bit about our research services. So we do still have what would have been a traditional research service where you know, we're going to spend several hours researching a name. There's a set fee for that. We've got a list of the resources that will be searched. So if you're looking, especially if you're far away and you want someone to spend some time doing some research for you, this is one option. We also do make copies of cemetery transcription pages. There's a flat fee for that. And we will do lookups as well. And then just depending on what you're looking for, the best thing to do is to contact us. Just contact us through email and tell us what you're looking for. And we're pretty flexible. We can work out an arrangement. But, you know, these are the sort of things that keep us going, right? So digitizing equipment costs money. We have to pay rent for our library. We're constantly looking for new resources, and you know, these are the ways that we are able to fund that. And there are some other research opportunities, especially if you are, obviously now you wouldn't be planning a visit, but if in the future, if you're planning a visit, there are some other places around town that you might want to visit, especially the McGeorge building. They have some early resources that you might want to make reference to. Okay. And then the last one, obviously, plan a trip to Chatham, Kent. There's some options for accommodations there. I don't think anyone's going to be traveling in the next little while, so we won't bother with that one. And then I just want to talk about membership, and then I'll show you the members only. So our membership is, actually, that's not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you this one. Just want to cover off what is available as a member. There are a number of things. First of all, in order to become a member of Kent Branch, you first join the Ontario Geological Society. And there are a number of benefits that you get with that. A big one that's not listed here this year is you get included in your membership is a library edition MyHeritage subscription for the year. That's something that is because the society is celebrating their 60th anniversary, so it's sort of a special gift for their members this year. And then additionally, if you join the Kent branch, there are a number of other things that you get access to, which is specifically in our members only area. And that's where I will go next. In our members only area, we have over 30,000 documents and images. Okay, you do have to sign in, and I will do that right now. Sign in. And what we've done is we've organized them by topic to try, and so you're not searching through pages and pages and pages of items. We've tried to organize them by topics to make it easier to drill down. So I'm just going to cover a few of them that you might find of interest. So the cemeteries, first of all, because we were in the index of cemetery transcriptions, they are available. And I'm going to be jumping into a lot of files, so it may take a few minutes to load because I'm not used to jumping through all of these files at the same time. Cemetery transcriptions are stored by Township, and also the index is located here as well, just so it's convenient if you need to look something up. And we'll go back and see if we can find that Stewart Cemetery, which it's right there. So you can just open it up. It's a PDF, and it will allow you to page through that transcription. Just go back to the members only. Also in our cemetery transcriptions, we have our cemetery chair has been very busy out at the cemetery taking pictures of headstones. And so when you think about our cemetery transcriptions, they were done back in the 80s. And so there are obviously other headstones out there. So when you're in some of those folders, you may see other files where we've augmented and added additional records in there. I want to show you our church histories. So for anyone who's been in our library, there are 3 binders that were up on the shelf that had church histories for practically every church in Kent County. Those have all been digitized. They're available either alphabetically or by township, and they're just PDFs, so you can open them up and look through them, and they're all searchable. They're not indexed, so if anybody's interested in doing some indexing, we would love to have you. Okay, so you can just go through and find them and open up. It's like having the library at your disposal at home. Our family histories, this has been a multi-year project. We've had a student in every summer for the last, I think we've been through 4 students, Cindy, am I right there? Anybody that's been in the library knows we have a lot of family histories, and so we've not gotten them through them all, but there's a significant amount that are done, and they're in alphabetical order in folders. So again, you don't have to scroll through the whole thing. And they're PDFs, so you can search them. And I know today Cindy had made a comment in a Facebook page about the Crow family histories, the binders. Some of those have been done as well. We've got quite a bit of those scanned as well in here. Another new resource this year is the Microfilm. So we have a filing cabinet with a number of microfilm reels, and they've all been digitized, but there's still 5 that have not been uploaded because they're sitting in the library and I can't get in the library to get to them. But any of the microfilm that are in the drawers are available here as well. Some of them, some interesting ones that some older newspapers, and then the Klaus papers and the Hawk papers, which the Hawk papers I believe are immigration records. And that's the society purchased that microfilm scanner. It's been going around to various branches. It came to our branch and we became sort of the central spot for all of the surrounding branches. And so all of their microfilms came into Chatham. We scanned them and sent them back out. Irish resources. So St. Patrick's Day is coming up. We've got a number of Irish resources that are listed in there. All of the newsletters that I referenced earlier are there. Obituaries. So the Chatham Daily News obituaries, which are now available in the master name index, all of those binders are here. And I think they take up a whole shelf and a half, and so they're all available here. Again, volunteers have taken those out of the newspaper and scanned them, and then another volunteer indexes them. We are very appreciative of that. Yearbooks. This is one that we are continually on the lookout for yearbooks. And so the yearbooks that we have up right now are older ones. They're at least 50 years old, but we're going to be adding more. We were able to get some clarity from the Society office from an individual on copyright, and so I think we're going to be in a position where we can add more, but we have a number of yearbooks, some older ones that are really interesting. We're also on the lookout for yearbooks, so if you have yearbooks, even if you're not in a position where you would want to donate them, even if you could just lend them to us, we'll scan them and put them up here on members only. But we had one of our members donated some older Merlin District High School yearbooks, and they're just wonderful. The pictures in them are fascinating. So you could spend, we could spend all night in members only. The best thing is for you to get on the website and look through them. But this is something that continues to grow. We will continue to digitize resources. I can't even tell you what percentage we've got done in our library, but I don't think we're halfway through. So there's still tons more for us to scan. And I think that is pretty much it. Sort of taking you from the A to Z on our website. Cindy, are there any other questions?
There was just a couple comments. So Don Ross, so he was the fellow who who gave us our featured resource for March. He actually had a comment and he wanted to know about the Kent Historical Society. So I believe that is still going. He was asking if it's still functioning. And he generously donated 7 of those journals that I have since passed on to Colleen. And he just, he wondered, is it still up and going in Chatham? So that's the Gilbert's group, correct?
Right, but I think I saw Diane on.
Yeah, and I had wondered too if she would turn her mic on and maybe if she felt comfortable just speaking. I know they're not, per se doing presentations at the moment, but Dawn, I think they're still running. So Diane, I don't know if you have availability to, turn your mic on or even type something in the chat. And but he was mentioning that, the 7 journals that he did donate to us, the last one was 1950s. So, and that's what he wondered, was it still going or has actually OGS superseded it? So, I think they're still their own group.
Hello, Cindy.
Hi, Diane.
Yes, The Historical Society is still in existence. We do not have a website. And of course, we've not had any meetings in quite a while, but yes, I'm the secretary.
Yeah. So I knew that you would know what was going on. So yeah, they're still around and still active and and still doing some things in the community. So
well, I usually send an email to the OGS, our OGS branch, when I get one, so we know when the next meeting will be.
right.
Maybe we could add it to our website.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
As on the public resources once we know when the meetings start back up again.
All right.
Yeah, that's a great
I
idea.
think I'm on that list. I normally get an email from you, Diane. So when
Yes,
I see it, I'll pop it up on the website so we can let others know.
Good, thanks.
And then Don also just made a comment when you were into the Camden Township papers there, he was commenting that Camden East was actually in Lenox and Adelington County.
Yes.
News.
I was taking a big guess there. I was like, oh, there's multiple Camdens. Which one do I pick? What I needed to do was go back to that Wikipedia article about what's in each township, and then I would have gotten the right one.
Right.
But thank you. I'll tell you right now that give me Raleigh Township and Dover Township. I could tell you where everyone lives, but don't ask me about any other townships. I have to pull a map out.
And then Beth Adams, she just made a comment that she found her, quote, Aunt Charlotte scrapbook in our members only. So that was one of those one-of-a-kind, rare, very generous of her. She donated it to us. Well, I shouldn't say donate. She lent it to us. We scanned it, and now it's available for everyone to enjoy. And then she came back and picked it back up. So that was one comment for her, that she found it and she appreciates that. Mary Lou says, terrific presentation, very much appreciated. Learned a lot about the resources. Donna says, fantastic information, thanks. I know what I'll be doing tomorrow. And then Mary Lou also says, any plans to digitize when Chatham was woods?
So that one, interesting, because those are John Rhodes and he sells them. So I don't think our copyright, the copyright rules would allow us to put it up on the page because it's something that's commercially for sale. But yeah, we've talked about those. They are indexed though. That one is indexed in the master name index. So if you do find a name in there, you can, I know that the library, if you can't get into our library and the Chatham-Kent Public Library opens up, I know they have several copies on their shelf. Or you could probably just go on our Facebook page, because I would imagine that half of the members on the Facebook page probably have a copy sitting on their shelf at home.
Okay, thanks for the info. Then Beth also writes, tracking back in Blenheim newspaper would be great too.
Tracking back. Okay. We'll have to look into that one. We do have some newspapers out of Blenheim, but I don't think that's one of them. Where's our newspapers? Newspapers. I think there's Ridgetown, Dresden. Yeah, we don't, unfortunately.
Okay. So as Colleen mentioned, the family histories. So when COVID hit last year, we did a big spin and we brought the scanners that were in our library, which we were, slowly putzing away at things, brought them out. They basically went to 3 different households. And then we began a huge push of scanning. So a lot of the things that are in the members only now, as Colleen mentioned, you have access, if you're a member, basically as in walking into the library. So for example, the church records or the church histories, that was one big collection that we thought, that's really important. People can't get into the library, so let's make it available. So we were lucky to have a student again. So a lot of the things in the members only are quite new, and we really hope that people appreciate that we made that effort to put that big push out and get this stuff done. So, and as she mentioned, indexing, if anybody out there is interested in indexing, the more we can get indexed, the more we can put up there so that you don't have to, search through those 70 crow binders, because we don't have a per se master index for them.
Mm.
So if we can get more people indexing, then we can get the information out there to point to where that particular resource is. So, and like I say, the microfilm, that was another thing that was sitting in the shelf or in the filing cabinet. So there's been a couple big push projects during COVID. So again, there's been a little positive out of this, is that some things that we sort of meant to do, we just didn't get to it, time constraints. So with all of us being stuck at home, we really focused on a few different things. And so hopefully we appreciate, you appreciate us doing that for you. And that was, we appreciate you as members as well, and wanted to get this stuff to you, even though you still couldn't come into the library. Let's just see what else we have. Good presentation. Thanks for showing us where the resources were. That was from Leslie. Beth, I think, Beth, would you still like to say something? She asked if we could unmute her. I don't know if Colleen, she was the one that donated that Aunt Charlotte scrapbook.
I think
I'm not sure.
There you go. I was gonna, it wasn't about the scrapbook, it was the tracking backs. They're in the News Tribune. I can't remember, Mary Lou Clendenning wrote them every week for years and years and years, and there's 2 or 3 volumes of them that have local histories and people and stuff. They're very good.
Oh, so it was like a column.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But they were put into, she collated them all into books. So you can buy like a volume, or you could at one time buy 2 or anyhow.
Oh, okay.
we'll look into that.
Yeah.
They're quite good. If and when I ever finish with mine, you can have them.
Wonderful.
Cindy,
Yes, Diane.
if I'm not mistaken, do we not have 2 volumes of them on our shelf in our library?
We could. We certainly haven't digitized everything in our library.
I'm pretty sure. Seems to me they have navy blue covers.
And Diane would know because she was our librarian for 30-some years. So
Yeah.
chances are, Diane, you're absolutely correct.
I'm gonna take a chance and just go search in the library catalog and see. Oops. Uh-oh, like an error on Vita. I don't know what's going on there. It's called Tracking Back.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Doing a lot of thinking. It could be my computer. It's was not behaving tonight very well before the meeting started. Anyway, you know what? If I can't find it here, even if we do, we're gonna go look for them on the shelf next time that they allow us in. Or sometimes the lady at the library will sneak us stuff out for scanning. So maybe Cindy, that you can put that on the list.
Okay, we will look for you for that. And then Mary Lou has offered to volunteer, so thank you so much. Yes, we can get your email off the members list. So great, thank you so much. And then Sherry is wondering, actually, I think she had 2 questions. So she is asking about the index cards that live outside of our library, if we will ever be able to. That is the big question, Sherry.
Yeah.
I will say that the library has been receptive to having a conversation with us about doing something with those index cards. So that is a very positive step. And I think, again, COVID has put a little spur in them to say, you know what, people aren't into the library, they can't have access. How can we make this happen? So I will say that they are receptive to us working with us to try to get something going with that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we will be working with those index cards very quickly, because that's something that we're all itchy, I think, too. Our fingers are always like, oh, if we could just scan these.
Yes.
Okay, spell checker messed up. Birth, marriage, and death card catalog. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Sherry. Spelling checker is messing me up. Okay. Birth, marriage, and death card catalog. I'm assuming you're maybe still talking about the index cards, the newspaper index cards outside of our room.
Or maybe the card catalog that's inside of our room. Because we have the one over on the wall.
Yeah, that's the maple leaf.
Yeah.
Okay, LJ, this was great. I could probably rewrite my book with all these new resources. Well, book number 2.
Yeah, do a second edition, okay?
Sherry just yeah, the outside the room, the indexes. So
Okay.
so hopefully, yes, one day we can get something going with that. And then Carol McFadden says, this is a wonderful presentation. I'm anxious to join. Well, we're anxious to have you. And would have time in a couple months to help with indexing, great. But I would need very specific directions. So the interesting thing about this is we just passed along, we started, Colleen threw it out there that she would like to get the cemetery transcriptions, which are all neatly typed up, which is wonderful, but they were not in a format that made them easy for her to upload to the website. So she created a very easy, very simple Excel spreadsheet. We shipped it off to the volunteers and the transcriptions. And so we have 7 people now working on doing that. So that's definitely doable.
And they're sending them back faster than I can get them into the index,
great.
but I don't care. Just keep
That's
doing
great.
it.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, as I said, you know, this is something that you want to check back from time to time because there will always be something new on here. If it's something big like the McGill University, we'll probably have it on the feature as one of the features. But you know, so definitely the members only, and I would say the master name index and the publicly available indexes, we are constantly adding things there. So it does not hurt to check back from time to time.
And somebody is saying hello to your cat.
Oh, yes.
She
She's
just
my
lost
helper.
the microphone.
She's my helper. Well, thank goodness there's not a delivery truck, or you could meet my dog too while he
Yeah.
tries to go through the window.
Well,
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Colleen. That was great. And thank you everyone who joined us tonight. We appreciate you spending your Friday night with us. And be sure to tune in next month and we will all meet again. So thank you everyone and good night.